and the cotton is high. Oh, your daddy's rich and your mama's good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. One of these mornings, you're gonna rise up singing. Then you'll spread your wings and you'll take the sky. But till that morning, there's nothing's gonna harm you. With your daddy and mammy standing by. Ooh, it's summertime, and it's hot in this here church in summertime, but we're here for summertime.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's scary. We plan the songs far out in advance, and sometimes they just are so appropriate. My name is Justin Wilson. I'm the Congregational Life Coordinator here, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to First Universalist Church of Rochester and our service this morning and our worshiping community. If you're here for the first time, you picked a warm one to join us, but we welcome you and appreciate you being here. Thank you for making it to our community. There is a visitor form on the back of your order of service that if you'd like to get to know us more and learn more about what we're about, we'd like to get to know you more. And there's also a QR code, or if you're online in the chat, you can click on the link that's appearing there. We'd also invite you to stay after the service for fellowship and connection in the Clara Barton Lounge for coffee hour. And if you're thinking coffee on a day like today, yes, always. And if you're looking to be part of our welcoming ministry to help put on coffee hour, you can see MJ Curry. She might be back there now. You can also see Grant in the back there, or Shirley Malone, to be part of our greeter and usher program to welcome people. Before we take a moment to turn towards our neighbors and offer a greeting, we like to say hi to our online community. So if we look back towards the camera back there, towards the Progress Pride flag, and offer a wave, we're certainly happy you have joined us this morning, and hope you are staying cool wherever you are. And if you're here in person, let's take a moment and offer a greeting and a warm welcome to each other.
Hello, everybody.
Good morning.
It is time for our opening hymn. Number 134, Our World is One World.
The seas and wash us round
We all know how contagious disease can be. After all, we all lived through COVID. But now we have to be alert for a different contagious disease: violent anger. All around us, we see the lack of civility, that it's okay to react violently to anything or everything we disagree with. Now, I'm not saying to be silent or inactive, resigned to the status quo, but we do not need to catch the contagious disease of violent anger. I have seen the alternative of that model in the peaceful demonstrations taking place across this country. We can stand as a different model, one of caring, of compassion, of working together toward a common goal. As one of our hymns says, we are a gentle, angry people. Come, let us worship together. Will Kathy Mills please come forward to light our chalice at First Universalist? And you light a chalice in your own home, please join me in our chalice lighting words spoken in unison. May we be a people of welcome, here to grow in heart and mind and spirit, and may we reach out to serve our community. Please rise in body or spirit for our affirmation of faith, followed by the sun offering. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the source and meaning of life. Thus do we covenant with each other and with all. Our church stands on a downtown corner as a model of inclusion and compassion. It has developed into a beacon for justice. Our continued support will keep its light bright, encouraging all like-minded justice seekers to enter, rejoice, and come in. Please place your offering in the offering basket or give online by scanning the QR code on the back of your order of service. This is also a great time to place visitors form in the offertory basket. For online folks, please click the link in the chat to give to First Universalist Church. Thank you for your generosity. This morning's offering will now be gratefully received.
I invite you to join us in singing our doxology. I invite you now into this reverent time of sharing the joys and sorrows of our gathered community. If you would like to, you can place your hand over your heart to be able to listen from this heart-centered place. We know so much, so very, very much is going on in our world today. And if you have sorrows or joys to share on behalf of our national and global community, you are truly encouraged to do so today and into the future. As Patty Goodwin places stones into a bowl, I will read aloud the joys and sorrows of our gathered community. All online are also invited to share your joys and sorrows in the chat. From Connie Valk, a sorrow. Joyce Gilbert fell and broke a finger and injured her knee. Cards are welcomed. From Catherine Flynn, a sorrow. My sister-in-law and dear friend Pat died last Saturday. A joy, though, that she lived in dignity and independence until the end. From Juanita Ball, best sorrow to hear we left Israel to lead us. Oh, great sorrow to hear that we let Israel lead us into another war with Iran. Yes. Two joys from Kitty. One, my sister is here with me. Two, on June 17th, I had 18 years in the rooms of AA. Friday evening in Sodus, we had a great turnout for a rally in support of farm workers and others who are facing unjust treatment by ICE. A sorrow. Don Kortzel, father of Charlie and grandfather to Brendan, passed away last Wednesday in hospice at 95 years old. He was the last living parent and UU to the core, among many other things. Charlie is flying home from Florida today. Joy to be at the Rochester International Jazz Festival, a great evening that draws a lot of people out, even in the heat. From MJ Curry. One more? Oh. From John Luke's, a joy to have Peter back this summer. It'd be a better joy if he could see better.
Yeah.
Thank you. Today we share in a community ritual to honor the many joys and sorrows we bring into this space, whether read aloud or kept in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts. In a moment, those here in person are invited to come forward and drop stones into the bowl. If you need to remain seated, raise your hand and someone can come to you with a bowl to drop stones in. And if you are joining us online, please use your reactions button to indicate a heart, and please place a heart into the chat. Let us join in this collective ritual of honoring the joys and sorrows of us all. may all be held in the heart of love. I invite you now to join me in a spirit of prayer and meditation as we contemplate the many, many things that are going on in our world. I think it's important for us to try to find the peace in our own hearts, because from that peace, we are better able to see clearly what needs to be done and how we can best help. And if you are feeling fear and sorrow, we honor that too, as there was some pretty shocking news last night. And let us always be reminded that above all other things, we are a justice-oriented people, and we always, always work toward justice, hold justice in our hearts, move through the world with a justice orientation, and that sustains not only the community around us, but that sustains our own hearts. Amen. Blessed be, and may it be so. And now I invite everyone to join in singing our hymn of contemplation, the most Unitarian Universalist hymn there is, and one of my favorites, number 123, Spirit of Life. I have to just say before I start what a joy it always is to be back here. This is my favorite thing that I do the entire year, and it is my favorite thing because this is such a wonderful, wonderful community of kind, compassionate people, and I just love being here every summer. So thank you for inviting me again. So like everyone who is at least over the age of 30 or so, I can tell you exactly where I was on September 11th, 2001, when I first heard of the terror attacks. Like many of us, I can picture the exact spot where I was standing. I was in my classroom at the Finger Lakes Technical and Career Center, which is in the little tiny hamlet of Flint, New York, down near Geneva, where I was teaching career skills to special education students at the time. Now, back in those days, we had a row of desktop computers on long tables along one wall, and I was just turning on all of those computers so that the students could use them when they arrived. We were going to be doing a unit on how to search for a job on the internet that week. So I was just turning on the last computer when my assistant Amanda came into the room and said, "Mr. House, my husband just called and said that terrorists flew planes into the World Trade Center." So many people that I know, and probably many of you here this morning, heard the news right after the first plane had hit, when the event was still being seen as a tragic accident. But by the time I first heard the news, both of the planes had already hit, and officials were already calling it a deliberate terror attack. So my immediate thoughts and emotions were probably different from those people who had first assumed it was an accident. We will soon be going to war, was my very first thought. I was pretty sure that the terrorists were going to turn out to be from someplace in the Middle East, and that we would soon be pummeling some desperately poor nation with bombs. Now, I was hardly demonstrating any great gift of prophecy in this moment. Anyone who paid attention to world affairs at all was coming to the same conclusion that I was at the same time. By 11 o'clock, when I ventured into the faculty room, which was filled mostly with male trade teachers, the calls for revenge and retribution were already flying. "They had the nerve to go after the Pentagon of all places," one man was shouting as I walked in. He actually used some profanity that I left out. "We need to bomb the hell out of them," he said. Now, no one asked exactly who we would be bombing, and no doubt anyone even knew at that early stage who was responsible, but nearly everyone in this faculty room was in total agreement with that sentiment and saying similar things. My colleague Jill seemed to be the only person who was on the same page that I was. When the vitriol subsided for a minute, she said, "You know, you guys, maybe we should just take some time to find out why people would be angry enough to do something like this. The United States, after all, meddles in a lot in that region of the world, and those people have a lot of reason to be angry with us." Now, Jill was liked in this rural Republican-leaning environment, but she wasn't respected. She was, after all, a lifetime Quaker activist, and she spent much of her free time doing prison ministry with violent offenders. And if that wasn't bad enough, she was a strict vegan, and she came from California. So most of the time, she was regarded as a harmless, naive oddity who gave our faculty a little bit of color. But on September 11th, 2001, people were in no mood for her views. "Jill, no one is in the mood for your liberal hippy-dippy BS today," said the man who was shouting, "Bomb the SOBs." The one that was shouting when I entered the room. "Today is the wrong day for that crap." "Well," Jill said, "I think today is exactly the right time for that sort of introspection." And I thought the same thing. I thought this is exactly what we should be doing at this moment. I considered speaking up on Jill's behalf, but as a relatively new gay outsider who commuted 45 minutes from the much maligned city of Rochester, people were always saying to me, "Aren't you afraid you're going to get shot at your house?" I was taken even less seriously than Jill was. Jill at least lived with her husband on a small farm right down the road, so that gave her some credibility to speak as an insider. By the time that I took to the roads to go home that day, it was obvious that Jill and I were outliers in our view that we should use this opportunity to seek to understand the anger that had been directed at us. American flags were already everywhere. We all remember that, right? Flying half-mast from flagpoles in people's yards, hastily draped over front doors or porch railings, and flying from the beds of pickup trucks. It seemed that absolutely no one wanted to understand anything. They wanted revenge. We are missing an opportunity, I just kept thinking as I drove. Jill is right. What if instead of immediately calling for retribution, we took some time to show some compassion? What if we as a nation, if we actually reflected for a minute on this day on our role in the world and how our interests always trample everyone else's? What if we really looked at the suffering that we had caused in the Middle East? What if we truly listened to what people in that region had to say and adjusted our foreign policy based on what we heard from people's lived experiences? Wouldn't everyone be better off? Wouldn't even we as a nation be safer? And as I saw American flag after American flag, how I wished that I had a United Nations flag to drape over my railing when I got home. This was not a moment to turn inward, no matter how instinctual that was for many of us. If only these attacks could serve as a wake-up call, I kept thinking, an aha moment, a time of national reckoning and soul-searching. What if? I still ask myself that question to this day, 24 years later. Over the years, I have often talked about how my work with emotionally disturbed children kind of informs a lot of my view of the world. So because the kids that I work with have a fair amount of emotional dysregulation, it's not uncommon for them to go into crisis during the school day, often over what appear on the surface to be small things. And when this crisis occurs, it's very common for them to throw things, hit others, bite, spit, kick. And as a staff, we have to be prepared to keep them and everyone else safe. So our entire staff is trained and certified in therapeutic crisis intervention through Cornell University. So when you go for the beginning of the training for therapeutic crisis intervention, at least when I did it, I hear they don't do it anymore, they would show us the Chinese symbol for crisis, which translated meant danger plus opportunity. The idea being that a crisis, while potentially dangerous and harmful, also often provides an opportunity to learn and grow and to gain understanding. It may take an outburst for kids to come to terms with what is underlying their anger. And even more so, adults often don't understand what is really bothering the child until the child can no longer contain his or her feelings and they just come spilling out freely and uncensored. What is crucial, however, is that the adult truly sees this situation when it arises as an opportunity and refrains from anger and punishment and listens with an open heart and an open mind to the child's point of view. After over 20 years of working in this setting, I can honestly say that these crises are often an opportunity if I truly approach them with an open mind and a compassionate heart. No, I will tell you, it is not always easy. I have often been the target of these outbursts, and as such, I have been kicked and sworn at and spit at, and I've had my personal property destroyed. But what is crucial for me to keep in mind at these moments is that I am the adult. I am the one in control. I'm the one with all of the leverage and the power, the one with the ability to affect change, and the one who gets to control the narrative. If only George W. Bush had understood that on September 11th, what a different world we might be living in now, and we're getting another reminder of that with this current news cycle. Instead, as we all know, he led the charge for swift, blind, merciless revenge on innocent people who had no power and had not done anything to us. He resorted instead to Manichaeism, which reduces all conflict to the most simplistic and self-serving terms, that every conflict is a dualistic, clear-cut, and straightforward struggle between absolute good and pure evil. They hate our freedom, was our president's explanation of those attacks. As if completely unprovoked and without any cause at all, people in the Middle East decided to launch a brutal attack on us simply because they themselves were so inherently evil that they hated the very concept of freedom. And what's even worse, it worked. Few Americans even questioned our hasty decision to invade Afghanistan. We were good and they were evil, and thus we had the right to annihilate them. And then when we went on to invade Iraq, because they were evil too and we were good, people said the same thing. People condoned it. People said we must get behind the flag, we must get behind the president, we're at war, we have to support our side. We, in that moment, 24 years ago, completely missed the opportunity that that danger presented us with. And as a result, we were embroiled in two of the longest wars in the history of the United States, causing untold amounts of suffering and destruction and costing us over $3 trillion. And if only we as a nation at that time had recognized our responsibility, our great responsibility as the ones in control, the ones with all the leverage and the power, the ones with the ability to affect change, the ones who got to control the narrative. How much further down the road to peace and justice might we be now 24 years later? Well, our nation was presented with another opportunity this past December 4th, when United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was shot and killed by Luigi Mangione. It goes without saying that murder is wrong, and I would never argue that Luigi should not face the consequences of murder just like everyone else. But at the same time, like September 11th, that shooting offered enormous possibility if we would only take it. And unlike September 11th, this time when it happened, Americans seemed open to understanding why this had happened. And sadly, but I think this is human nature, I think people were open to hearing that because the suffering was happening here. Unlike the suffering that the United States was causing in the Middle East in 2001, we ourselves suffer greatly at the hands of a dysfunctional and grossly unfair healthcare system. But this event was an opportunity nonetheless. I remember that the first day the story broke, the media focus was all on Brian Thompson and the tragic loss of his life. Family man brutally slaughtered by a thug was how I would describe the coverage that I saw that day. But then something curious happened. As we learned that the bullets had the words deny, delay, depose written on them, the floodgates absolutely opened. I don't know if people remember how much there was. And the national conversation shifted from the murder of this one man, tragic as it was, to the gross inequities in our for-profit healthcare system. Comment sections on news stories quickly filled up with statements like, "Sorry, but my insurance and Medicaid don't cover thoughts and prayers. Your empathy claim has been denied." One person I saw wrote, "I hope you all get what's coming." And most famously, I think a lot of us saw this one, "Sorry, my empathy is out of network." And the story did seem to be generating some reflection on the state of things, at least at the time. We learned, at least I did, that twice as many Americans die from lack of health insurance as are murdered. that United Health is the 10th largest company in the world. I didn't know that. That Brian Thompson was paid over $10 million a year out of premiums paid by average working people. And that the average denial rate for other health insurers was 16%, but United Health's denial rate is 32%. That United Health's revenue grew $47 billion in 1 year. That the cost of deductibles went up 111% between 2010 and 2024. And that low-income people spend fully 1/3 of their incomes on health insurance premiums. Like the suffering in the Middle East that motivated 19 young men to go on a suicide mission and fly planes into buildings full of innocent people, the suffering of millions of people at the hands of for-profit healthcare insurers motivated one young man to murder, which in a way was also a suicide mission like September 11th, as he will no doubt spend the rest of his life behind bars if he does not get the death penalty. We have to think, when someone is willing to act in such an extreme way, shouldn't we at least consider what the catalyst is? In this case, United Healthcare is the one in control, the one with all the leverage and the power, the one with the ability to affect change. What is different this time, what was different, was that they kind of lost control of the narrative. I'm wondering in the long run if that will get lost or will it make any difference. About 10 years ago, I had a young coworker named Jonathan, a young man who joined us just out of college. Jonathan was kind and sensitive, with an outgoing sense of humor, an infectious laugh, and he had an enormous capacity for empathy. He was great at sports, and he would take the kids out and play basketball and baseball with them on free times, and everyone loved him. He was instantly loved by everybody in the school. But as I spent more time with him, I started to see that he carried something else as well. He carried a lot of pain and a lot of vulnerability. And I was not surprised to learn that he had a fairly significant trauma history. When he was about 12 years old, his mother was diagnosed with some rare form of cancer, and she needed treatments that weren't covered by their family's health insurance. So when she died, Jonathan's father was on the hook for over $1 million in medical debt for things that the insurance didn't cover. So a man who was a toll booth collector, we don't have them anymore, but the toll booth collector on the thruway, that man with 3 children to support had $1 million in medical debt. In 2005, I looked it up, toll collectors earn an average, if they still exist, the job, about $38,000 a year. So can you even imagine what $1 million of debt does to a person with 3 children who makes $18 an hour? In the case of Jonathan's family, it meant that they ended up losing everything. They lost their house, they had to give up all their belongings, they had to give up their pets, they had to move in with a relative. And a kind and sensitive 12-year-old boy not only had to endure the trauma of losing his mother, but on top of that, they all lost their home and their family's cherished possessions and all their pets in one fell swoop, because a company that his father had faithfully paid every month out of his meager earnings to prevent just such a catastrophe chose multi-million-dollar CEO pay over the lives of those that ostensibly collected money to protect and to care for. Unlike George W. Bush and all of his ilk would have us believe, there is no such thing as absolute good and absolute evil. Violence does not erupt from nowhere. It isn't perpetrated by inherently evil people who are motivated by a simple hatred of goodness. It springs from pain and powerlessness. It springs from trauma and unmet needs. It is the natural response to extreme inequality and unbearable injustice. And it presents us with an opportunity whenever it appears, if only we can set aside our own umbrage and our own anger and seek to understand its origins. Recently, my fourth graders encountered Chief Joseph in our social studies class. Chief Joseph led his tribe, called the Nez Perce, during the period when they were being forcibly removed from their land in the Pacific Northwest by white settlers, and a long struggle ensued. When it was clear that the Nez Perce people couldn't resist the white settlers any longer, Chief Joseph surrendered and allowed his people to be resettled on a reservation in Idaho. Chief Joseph was admired for his passionate, principled resistance to his tribe's forced removal, and he became renowned as both a humanitarian and a peacemaker. He once said, "I believe much trouble and blood would be saved if we opened our hearts more." Much trouble and blood would be saved if we opened our hearts more. We have entered into a period of great danger as a nation, the most dangerous period I can recall, and probably that's true for most of us. But we must stand up and fight for justice despite how we may feel at times. I want to remind everyone here this morning that most of us, and if you don't consider yourself in this category, I honor that. But most of us here, I think, are relatively privileged. So let us be keenly aware of whenever we are the ones in control, when we have the leverage and the power, when we have the ability to affect change, when we get to control the narrative. Let us all use our power and privilege, however much we have or feel we have, to stand up for the most vulnerable among us. There has never been a time where this has been more crucial. And if we ever perceive ourselves as victims, please let us first seek to understand. And let us all work together toward a world where no one's empathy is ever out of network. Can I invite you now to join in our closing hymn, number 95, "There Is More Love Somewhere." Please remain standing as Patty Goodwin extinguishes our chalice flame this morning. And let us read together the words printed on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but we keep its light in our hearts with its message of love and justice, taking it outside these walls to the world we live in, until we are together again. And as we close, I would like to again welcome our online community and invite you to switch, if you have not already, to gallery view. And as we close the service this morning, I invite everyone, both here and at home, to place a hand over your heart. For those of us in the room, let us take a moment to look around at those who are here today. And as we close our service, I want to again remind that everyone is invited to join us for ministry and coffee hour activities in the Clara Barton Lounge after the service. And I will just say that no matter how hot it is, I always drink coffee.
Is long with many a wind and turn that leads us to who knows where, who knows where. But I'm strong enough to carry him. He ain't heavy, he's my brother, so on we go. His welfare is my concern, no burden is he to bear, we'll get there, for I know he would not encumber me. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. If I'm laden at all, I'm laden with sadness that everyone's heart isn't filled with the gladness of love for one another. It's a long, long road from which there is no return while we're on the way to there. Why not share? And the Lord doesn't weigh me down at all. heavy. He's my brother.